Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of your favorite show, FPL Rodeo. As you all know, FPL Rodeo is your one stop shop for everything FPL. And it's been an interesting week, and we're glad to be back. I would be having with me some of my fantastic colleagues, interesting managers that are doing excellent on our FPL journey thus far. I would allow them to introduce themselves. If any of you can hear me, please unmute your mic and let the viewers know that you are here again this week. Hello, Lanre.
Hello, good evening, viewers. Good evening, Mayowa. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes, I can. Great, great,
Hello,
great.
hello, Mayowa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Hello.
Hello, Lanre.
Oh,
I can hear you
fantastic.
loud
So,
and
good
clear.
evening, Mayowa. Good evening, viewers. So happy to be a part of this show tonight, and I can't wait for us to dive into the business of the day.
Okay, beautiful. As we go along, I am sure.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Whether you are a viewer or a listener, depending on your choice of preference in terms of how you prefer to join the show, good evening to you. Good evening, co-presenters Lanwe and Mayowa. Hope looking forward to an inspiring conversation today. It's my very first time on the show, and I hope we can make it the real deal.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Babajide. So, for those of you that do not know, I have two fantastic managers in the studio with me today. Um, they've they've carved a niche for themselves in the FPL space, and we're glad to have them. It was such an interesting week, and I would just really like to jump into the meat of the matter. I would let Lanre take us through how we performed as a group within our community. And then after which, Babajide would just run us through what performance in the game week was like, because it was such an interesting game week, this last game week 3. So Lanre, over to you.
Okay, good evening once again, everyone, and we are so excited to have you on this beautiful FPL journey with FPL Rodeo. For those of us joining us for the first time, FPL Rodeo is a community of fantasy Premier League lovers, managers who have come together uh, to banter, to play, to have fun on a very amazing platform. FPL Radio is an opportunity for managers to actually put their money where their mouth is. So we have come um, along over the years. I mean, this should be our fifth season running this show. We've metamorphosed from being Pepsi FPL to Spark Command FPL, but now we are opening it up for managers all across Nigeria. We are hoping to grow this community so much that we can get to have so many people across the country come play under this platform, and not just come to play. Of course, we are also going to be giving out fantastic prizes. Of course, we have cash prizes for winners across all the major cash pool or prize pool that you can think of when it comes to FPL. And not just that, the biggest of it all is that managers who come top at the end of the season in our league also get to watch the Champions League final live in Lagos and courtesy Pepsi. So these and many more are the fantastic offerings that we have here at FPL Radio. But it's not just about the prizes; it's about growing an amazing community of followership in this country of lovers of FPL. So yes, that's it.
Thank you so much, Lanre. So let's see. Babajide, what will be your take on the top performances in the last game week? This is looking at the FPL season in itself. And just briefly touch on the top performance we have. And if you want to just add a bit of spice, you could also just touch on some of the worst performances from different selections that people would have made.
Okay, thanks very much, Maiwa. I think it's of course, it's not an entirely unusual game week in the FPL season, right? I think game week 3 happened to be the second poorest season so far. Of course, we are just getting to the third game week of the season, but at this very point in time, you're able to start to make some deductions and to begin to make some assessment about assets and things like that. But it's quite strange that most of the top performance of most of the assets that you'd expect to get very big points from, the so-called premium assets, permit me to say they haven't really lived up to their billings, and that really was responsible for a performance in the game week for the entire global world. I think about 9 point something million managers already participating in the game right now. Of course, we expect that to grow as the season continues. Last season, we recorded 11 point something million managers. 2 seasons ago, it was just about 11 million managers. 3 seasons ago, I think the number was around 9 point something million. So if you are already at what we currently are right now, you expect the number. I think the usual projection is for the number to get to about, say, 12 million to follow the usual trend of the growth trend. So the global average stood at 44 gross points, which wasn't what you typically expect when you compare that to the previous game weeks, right? That was more or less not entirely good enough. And in that same trend, it's not entirely surprising that even FPL Rodeo, if you want to bring it back home a little bit, the performance on the average for the FPL Rodeo was just at about 44.8 points, which means that the FPL Rodeo did not entirely swerve off what the global trend was. The only difference was just about 0.88 points, and that wasn't good enough. And the reason is very simple. When you look at the fact that the Alans of this world, the Salah of this world, Rashford of this world, when you look at a lot of the popular choices in the league, the Estupinian, the Mitoma, the Mbeumo, Chilwell, and all those kind of popular assets in the league that have nothing less than 40% ownership in the league. It was only Saka that returned a substantial point with 8 points, and Haaland, who would have most likely done more than that if he hadn't gotten his penalty saved by the Sheffield United goalkeeper, was able to recorded only 4 points. And when you consider that quite a lot of the managers in the league, bar two managers, captained him, so he returned just 8 points, something similar to the game week 2, when quite a lot of people went for the choices of captaining Salah. Of course, he got a point, but he also missed the penalty, and I was able to convert only from the rebound, which more or less ended him the 5 points that I got at the end of the day. I think Haaland was more or less taken from the note of Salah. He also missed a penalty during the course of the game, but for him, it wasn't a case of converting from the band. It was a case of getting a different opportunity entirely, and which he was able to convert with a headed finish, and then he got a 4 point from that. So having said that, I've just more or less spoken about the captaincy choice. When you look at what we have in terms of our captaincy choice in the FPL Rodeo, because the conversation is most likely to really target, focus on what our own internal performances, and then see how we can juxtapose that with the global trend. Unsurprisingly, because the first game week 1, Ireland was facing a newly promoted side in Burnley, and it got a massive 13 points in that game week. More or less the same expectation was what many managers were putting in him, and then a lot of people captained him. As a matter of fact, all except 2 managers in the league captained Haaland. But I'm not sure those managers would have actually had anything to blame themselves for, because Haaland only returned 4 points, like it was said earlier on. We had just one person that was bold enough to captain Saka, and another one manager that captained Mbeumo. Of course, Saka justified that very bold decision by that manager, and he returned 8 points, which means the particular manager in question got 16 points for his own for his trust in the Arsenal asset. Which other one do we want to talk about is when you look at in terms of the top performance, a lot of people had to do with so many things relating to transfer businesses. And if if I can, maybe just to share my screen a little bit. Just a minute.
So while Babajide is trying to just give us some view, I just want to bring on stage Grant so that Grant can just introduce himself, and then Babajide can go ahead with the analysis. Hello, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Good evening.
Good evening, Grant. Glad to have you
Yeah,
here.
good
A
evening, everybody.
fantastic manager you are. Thank you, Grant. Okay, so over to you, Babajide. Um, let's hear your lovely insights.
It's
Okay, great.
it's good to be here too. Thank you.
Welcome on board, Grant, and thank you a lot, Maiwa. I don't know, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Larry, if you can hear me clearly, can you just help me populate the dashboard that shows the performance for our game week 3 highlights?
Hey, just 1 sec. Let me get that up for you.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Babajide.
So what I wanted to just show basically, right, is what the usual transfer trend has been in the FPL Rodeo. Of course, it was quite helpful for some managers to hear to get that feedback that somebody like a popular option like Luke Shaw in the league was injured. So you have quite a lot of managers that were really able to maximize that on time. You have some managers switching from Shaw to Madikash. And of course, that really paid off handsomely because Madikash returned 17 points. And I want to point out that that was not something that is that follows the usual trend when you consider that Madikash had not even scored for the past one season or thereabout. So it was something like out of the ordinary. It's not entirely also surprising that his global ownership just stands about 11.8% before the league. Of course, I'm expecting that to go even beyond that because a lot of people are beginning to look in his direction right now, irrespective of the fact that Aston Villa are going next against Liverpool away. And another thing is, a lot of people, surprisingly, a manager also went for Gabriel to Gusto, and I think that was not entirely surprising in its real sense. Gabriel cost 4.5 million, and for the first 2 games of the season, for a reason best known to the Arsenal manager, he had been put on bench, and you had some manager taking the very bold step of switching from Gabriel to Malo Gusto, and that really paid off handsomely. So just really ahead. So thank you very much, Larry. When you look at the managers that we have on this right hand side, where you have the best transfer business, you have all these people getting positive net transfer points for their bold core. You have Ahmed Waya, who, despite taking a -8 hits, I found that quite surprising anyway, considering that it's just the early part of the season. But of course, like I would usually tell people, there is no one just right way to play the game. You only are able to play the game the way that you consider to be the best for you. And it's very bold decision, ending a net point transfer of 13, the same way that we are Liverpool got plus 11 points for his exploit. Which is somewhat similar to that of Pitches won the money, got 11 points as well. Emila got 8 points, and Emilokon 2.0 got 6 points. And of course, you can easily see what their current trend and what their current status on the game week rank and the overall game week overall league rank currently look like rather. And of course, for every positive, most likely you're always going to get the negative side of things in terms of what managers that did not really profit from their business of transfers, right? The worst, as I like to call it right now, is Bruno FC, who switched, got a net point transfer of -13, despite taking a hit of -4. And that's more or less similar to that of Poch the Posh, and that is, yours truly. And I think that decision was because I didn't get to hear about that decision of all the injury status of Luke Shaw. So that more or less forced my hand to take a hit. And of course, that didn't eventually pay off. I brought in, how do you call it? I brought in Chelsea defender Leverkusen, but of course, he couldn't return any additional points other than his own clean sheet point. So if you want to go to the next slide, if I'm still permitted to continue the analysis for now, just to maybe look at the overview of the ownership of the league, like I've run through before. Currently, we have Alan, Saka, Estupinan, Rashford, Mitoma, Salah, and Mbemo occupying the first 6 slots in terms of the highest owned assets in the league. And the implication of some of this transfer is also shown in what we have as our rank movement on this particular slide. If you can just switch to the next slide for me, Larry, please, just for the sake of our viewers this time around, so that it could be a little bit more relatable for them. If you look at what we have on the next slide that talks about the rank movement, when you look at the rank movement, right, you have the likes of super strikers. He has now moved 12 slots. Can you hear me, Larry?
Lanre, you need to show it now because they are saying I moved 12 slots, but that's when you are not showing it.
Yes, I think it's actually worthy of note because it's a very giant stride, if you ask me. It's not every day that you get to move from position of 22nd on the log, and then you move straight to 10th and the biggest in the league ranking. I think that's something that is worthy of note and something that is very worthy of applause. And it's not entirely surprising if you look at it. I'm very well impressed by the return of 60 game week points, which obviously I had to check some other statistics, right? And I noticed that that particular return of 60 points would have actually ranked as number 5 in the game week for that part for our FPL Rodeo. And if you have to rank top 5 in a particular league for a particular game week, it means that you actually are doing something very applaudable and something that is very impressive. So congratulations to super strikers. And that takes me also to the next on the point of call, which also follows, and that is Wonderland of Excellence. It changed rank with a position of 6, and then it moved from 7th to 1st. Of course, enough has been said and posted on even all our social media platforms, Twitter and the likes, for all our different audiences to also follow us. You can see he's a man on fire. We are still going to have to touch more on him, about his exploits, about what are responsible for some of the decisions he has taken. But for now, I think is if you have your emoji of applause, maybe you can just at least show some love to him right now because he deserves all the accolades that come his way. From there, I'll just quickly touch on the biggest fall. Currently, we have control. It appears that he might not eventually have everything in his control right now because it dropped with a total of 14 ranks. And then there's a Jaguar that, for some weird reasons, has not been able to back or be able to show any form of action at all. This is more or less like a code Jaguar. It dropped 10th different rank and then is now currently occupying 28th position. And I just noticed now there's something very weird about these names of managers that we have on our biggest 4 set of people. The following one after the Jaguar is actor. I'm not sure if this person is actually acting the role or if this is his own reality. But the current reality, as we can see right now, is that he's currently occupying the 24th position on the league table, having dropped 9 points with his 27 game points in the week. I'm not sure. I say again, if this is an actor, then he definitely needs to watch more of Hollywood so that he can learn the role of acting a lot. There's also Abisola that is currently occupying 25th position. And then you have Captain Bruno FC. I think it would have been better if this person was named Captain Jack because we could have easily said maybe he had already taken Captain Jack before deciding his team 11 for the game week. He was able to amass only 34 points, which was 10 points more than even the global average and 10.8 points more than the FPL Rodeo average. So, and then worst team selection, you have a lot of people, this particular manager that have on his bench 20 points. That is pitches want the money. I'm not entirely sure if Mane would like to associate himself with a kind of manager like this, considering that he's doing very well in the Saudi Arabian League. There is Tuna FC that have 15 points on his bench. and this is more or less acting like a tuna fish that is not anything but a jellyfish. You have mote. I don't know. This is the name that more or less can be associated with something coming from the Dutch. Then you have Buga United, who has 13 points on his bench, and he can do anything right now but Bugaing. And of course, this one fits actually the call. He calls himself the underdog, and it's not out of place for him to be acting like an underdog by having 8 points on the bench. So, Maiwa, this is just the overview of our performance in the FPL Rodeo for the week, comparing that to what the global trend is saying for now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fantastic, fantastic analysis and review of our performance. Thank you very much, Babajide. And I liked the fact that you used that opportunity to also tell us some of the excuses why you did not win the game week. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right now, I would want to. Sorry, did anybody see Grant run away? And then he's back. Okay, beautiful. So let's welcome Grant back. And unfortunately, the drums are not here. I'm not yet at the drum line. The drums are not here, but let's just assume the drum roll, because this next slide that I would like to show everybody is letting us see Grant's performance for the game week 3, which makes Wonderland of Excellence, manager of the week. Grant, congratulations to you. I will want to use this opportunity to give you the stage now. Just walk us through your thought process and the strategy you employed for game week 3. And our manager, Fantastic, is hiding. I'm not sure where he is, but I know he's on stage.
He'll talk. Maybe he wants to really act like his name, Wonderland. One can only hope that this is not a one game week on 1 month wonder.
Okay. Well, Grant is trying to find his feet. I don't know who would like to do us the honors, Lanre or okay. So I think I'll let Lanre give it a go. While Grant is trying to come back. But Lanre, let's hear your thoughts on how you as a manager performed this last game week and what you feel you could have done differently.
And I said, I was really hoping you would not ask me questions tonight. You see, I've been very, very quiet because I had a very horrible game week, one I don't want to even remember. I mean, I was closer to the bottom of the table than even to the top. I was nowhere near the kind of target I've set for myself this season. Well, of course, it's early days, and this kind of situation is bound to happen. I had all the right reasons to have a very decent squad, but I chose all the wrong reasons, and those decisions backfired. Imagine me starting my week with Akonji, coming in for sure, and finding out that he would not even make the squad and he got injured. So I sold an injured player to buy an injured player. I will have to sell that injured player again for ahead of game week 4. You can imagine how weird that is. An increasingly frustrating weekend it was for me, starting from the first game week on Friday up to the last one on Sunday evening. So yes, but in summary, I think for generally what this game week did to most managers like me is that it was an important reminder that FPL season is back. So there's no time for you to actually over celebrate or even celebrate at all on your previous wins. So, but one important thing to also notice that this is likely going to be the season for the differentials. It's going to be the season for you to unearth new gems who are going to drive your team forward. As we've all seen so far this season, most of the popular assets have been having the ups and downs. It's just 3 game weeks gone, but we've recorded ups and downs with these assets. No one seems to be fully assured of key performances from this popular assets. And I feel it's going to be the theme for the next few weeks coming up. And I can only hope for myself, I don't know for other managers, that this international break will come with good tidings and help me restart my my season for FPL Rodeo. So yes, that's just as simple as I can put it for my game week 2 or game week 3 performance.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, interesting to know that Grant keeps coming and leaving. I don't know, maybe he's shy. But I want to just touch on a few things. Grant's performance is not surprising. As a manager, he's a fantastic manager. Considering how far we've come, he has some records within our community. In our last season, I think Grant won Manager of the Month 3 times, which is the highest number we've had in a single season. He's done really, really, really well. I hope he's back now and ready to speak. If Grant is here, I would like you to receive the accolades and the ovation right now, because I'm sure so many people will be gunning for managers of the weeks to come and also for the months, and you'll be the one we'll all be targeting. So now that the ovation is loudest, I think Grant, now is the perfect time for you to come on stage, speak, let us know your thoughts, your strategy. And I also remembered you trying to tell some people that you want to start a master class of how to become manager of the month. Grant, over to you. Let's hear your beautiful voice.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead.
Hello, good.
Why do good managers have poor internet? And why do bad managers have good internet? Because I could hear Larry a few minutes ago.
That's
Well,
$1 million question, but let's just hope that Grant will be able to connect tonight. I mean, I want to really hear from you.
let's hope Grant can grant us his audience. We really like to hear from him, especially because somebody like a manager, Radiant FC, seemed to have just finished watching the popular movie Jagun Jagun, and then he decided to go for an actor named Akonji. So we'd really like to get to hear something quite different from a manager like Grant. And like I said, hopefully he's not a one season wonder because he named himself Wonderland.
Okay, yes. I think for Grant, let me just give a brief history on Grant. I mean, Grant is one manager that I really admire. He has seen all the downs when it comes to FPL. I mean, he joined this family 3 seasons ago, and I remember people like Captain Bruno FC, um, who used to be Justice League back in the days. Used to taunt him every week because Grant is what we call the also runs in football, because you always see him close to the top, but will never hit that ceiling. But last season, things took a dramatic turn. He achieved the joint record of being the manager was the most money of the month in a season, alongside Afe, who is rejoining us this season, myself, yours truly, and I think Peaches won the money. That's Marco, who also owed that record for the most manager of the month in a season. So for Grant, for him to have achieved that last season, showed how far he has come in this game. And I remember sometimes we get to talk offline on his strategy, and the way he analyzed the beautiful game is always a thing to behold. So Grant has really come of age, and I'm really hoping we'll get to talk to him this evening. If not, maybe some other time. It was here last. Interestingly, it was here last week, and I remember I had this conversation where we are talking about what to do for Game Week 3, and he gave some insight that most of us did not even listen to, or personally, I closed blind eyes to it, because I remember him mentioning why we should target Aston Villa assets, and he made mention of Leon Bailey, Diaby, who he had brought in already, and he also made mention of Matty Cash. So he seemed spot on why he wanted to do what he was doing, and he was putting it out there for everyone who cared to listen. But of course, with the result that we have seen or we saw for Game Week 3, only a few of us even had the patience to even listen. And not to take the spotlight away from Grant, and I just want to touch on the other manager who made mouth last week and is found at the bottom of the food chain at the end of the game week. I mean, just like Babaji has said, I mean, someone who seemed not to be in control of his team this season. It was all flying last week, and we felt he was here to stay, but we didn't know it was just a 1 week wonder this time around. So is Grant back? I can see him pop up now.
So,
Hello,
Larry, did you
Grant.
just talk about the manager that fell harder than the Naira within a week?
Oh yes, I did. I think I had to put that there. I couldn't just resist taking that jab at him, and I was really hoping he would get to join the show tonight. But of course, sometimes when they say that sometimes the shameless people will just have to hide. You need to have been on the show last week. My God, we missed you. This guy was just firing in all cylinders. That oh yes, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. He's going to do a 3-peat of manager of the week. He's going to do a 2-peat of manager of the week, and of course, he's going for the manager of the month. And it's so surprising that he performed worse than even the global average or even the league average. So
His commitment was manager of the week. He did not say best or worst. We made the assumption.
of course. Oh my god. Oh,
So
yes.
we're trying so hard to get Grant. Okay, so while we're still
I think he just left a message that is here now. If you can hear us, maybe he can just also chip in with his own contribution as well. Would really
Good
like to hear
evening.
from. Okay, good
Good
evening.
evening. I'm so sorry. I've tried different angles of my room. The network is against me tonight. I've tried different angles of my room. I'm even outside now.
Okay, fantastic, brilliant, Grant. So please, walk us through your strategy for this last game week, and we'd also like to hear some insights on what you intend to do for the next game week, so that some of us can quickly do it, and we can be joint managers of the week or something like that.
Okay. So from my inception in FPL, yeah, my strategy has been very simple, and the same strategy I used in this last week. So I think Lanre knows about the fact that I like Matikash so much since Aston Villa signed him. I've always admired his style of play. So it was not news that I have Matikash on the day he decided to help my fortune. Plus, I'm also very confident in the Aston Villa team this season. I think Naheemri might actually spring forth surprises in the league. Also, I signed Musa Diaby because I've always loved him from his time in Germany when he was in Bayern Leverkusen. So I've always loved Musa Diaby, which was one of the reasons why I've had him since the beginning of this season. So last time out, I was talking about the fact that I didn't even want to cap in Ireland because it seemed like most people are capping Ireland, and I just want to be the odd one out. But then I looked at his numbers against newly promoted sides, and Man City was up against Sheffield United, so I just had to succumb to the pressure of capping and Ireland. Thank God it didn't hurt me that much. So I've always loved Matikash, which was not even last season. I had him all through. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Fire on. You have the floor. We want to learn from you.
Go ahead, Grant. We're here.
Okay. So other than in Ireland, I don't think any other player in the City team has a guaranteed spot other than in Ireland. So which is one of these why it was just Ireland I have in my team. Last time out, I spoke about having Tottenham access in your sorrow, which was one of the reasons why it's not an anomaly that I have Bruno Fernandes, the most creative player in our squad, even though I know Man kept my faith in Bruno Fernandes. Even while opting for Marcus Rashford instead, I just decided to stick with Bruno Fernandes. Also, since my inception in
Is it just me or Grant is
players who are
playing?
on penalty duties for their team, Mo Salah, Pedro. So these were just the strategies I put together that helped me win helped me be the first person to do the double, the FPL manager of the week and the manager of the month. So those were just my strategies.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes, brilliant, brilliant, Grant. Thank you
hello,
for those insights. I hope you can hear me.
hello.
Hello, Grant. Are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, Grant.
Okay. Thank you very much, Grant. It was very insightful to hear your thoughts and perspective on how you.
Yeah, I can hear you even though the line is kind of breaking, but I can.
Okay, so thank you very much, Grant. So we've come to the part of the show now where we also need to consider other areas and look at performance a bit more and speak to what we are to expect. But that said, after all said and done, all we've had to look at right now just the league performances. Just so we do not forget, we also still have the cups, the head to head, and quite a number of other things happening in this fantastic league of ours. And as you know, the love for the round letter game transcends generations, borders, languages, religions, and everything. And we know that every single one of us that loves this game would love FPL, would love what we're trying to do, and will be a part of us. I just want to remind you, if you're joining us for the first time, please do not forget to like and subscribe. We hope to do better in subsequent videos. But that said, let's take us back to where we are. We want to look at the classic league, and I want to just push this straight to Larry. Larry, let's hear your thoughts on how we performed um, across the way people have tried to use differentials in our league, and then we can start to look at what to expect in the coming game week. Larry, are you there? Over to you.
Okay, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello. Okay, great. So looking at the performance so far, I think we've pretty much covered how the managers have fared in the league in the past game week or even in the past month for August. I think it's been a month for everybody to just review what to do or to take notes of what they've done right and what they've done wrong and what they need to continue with and what not they need to keep aside. So interestingly, I'm just going to maybe touch instead on the H2H league, which is a different kind of league. For those who are not new to the world of FPL, you know that the H2H is just the head-to-head where you face off. Have faced off with different managers, and there was this tie that actually stood out for me before I jump right into what the table looked like. There was this tie that stood out for me, which was the battle, which the one I need the battle of Tuchel. You know, we know the Tuchel corner, or the Tuchel King, or the Tuchel Mazi, or the Tuchel Igwe, uh, is Samikus or Samikis in the league, and he was also facing a manager who has branded his team Tuchel. So I was really eager to see who would come out top, but it was almost very close battle, bar for 2 points difference between both managers. I think Sam makes edged that with 2 points, 39 points to 37 of Tuchel, the other manager who is leading the team with the name Tuchel. So there were other battles that were also keenly fought uh, from the H2H point of view. The other one that was also interesting was Jaguar, who seems to have lost all his attacking bites this season. You know, last season Jaguar was all it. he was one of those managers that was leading from the front even 2 seasons ago. And it seems that Jaguar has really lost all his teeth. He no longer knows how to bite or even fight or attack because he has been going down and down so far. Even for towards the tail end of last season, was nowhere near the ranks where you earn the big money. So that's been the story of Jaguar so far this season as well. And I'm beginning to wonder if he would need to consider a name change because what he has been doing so far is not uh, representing the name that he has given to his team. And there's also another manager who Babajida has also called out earlier, but I would also like to mention again that there are some people that need to actually change their name. The person is actor. I mean, actor had a very interesting week, and yeah, he was more like a villain. I mean, someone who seems not to be in the peak of the action what you expect him to do firing. He lost to Major FC 43-27. That was like a friendly fight or a friendly engagement between both of them, and he lost that heavily. And I think that wraps up the major battle that we had from the age point of view. For the league ranking overall,
I was
19% of managers.
Larry.
Hello?
Larry.
Yeah?
Do not
Yep.
forget that we also had a Captain Bruno FC who was
Okay.
unmatched but still lost. I think that's worthy of
Oh,
comment as well.
of course. Well, I was hoping to save him more backlash. He got enough heat. I'm sure if you let Grant come back to the studio to talk, he's going to spend the next minutes talking about how he has invited him for a webinar show and how he can help him improve on the season. So the beautiful thing about Justin, Captain Bruno FC, is that he makes all the mouth, and when it comes to the field of play, he sometimes do not come to the party. Of course, he likes to pick a particular month where he feels that he will shine. He has said that September will be the month to remember for him. But of course, there's this popular gift from this game. What's this popular game now? Since from GTA Vice City, where you say, "Oh shit, oh forgive my English." Oh yeah, we go again. So it seems to be that kind of manager that keep coming back every month to say, yes, this month is going to be my month, and you will always not find him at the top of where the money is. So yes, Captain Bruno lost to average global average in the last game week, and it's very very ridiculous that he found himself in that kind of position. And if you look at the overall, he's also somewhere languishing in the mid table for H2H and towards the bottom part of the classic league table as well. Well, he has come out to say that we should look out for him in September. That is coming for all the prize, and we are waiting to see what he's going to pull out of his hat this time around. So back to the H2H league table. 19% of managers they've had a flawless record, including manager of the month who has won all his ties with 9 points, followed by Milokon, underdog, super strikers, yours truly. You seem to be doing very well, Mayowa, and you are not making all the noise.
Do not forget, H2H was mine last season, so I'm quietly just coasting to see if I can retain the title.
Okay, then. Jumping to the end of the table is where we have someone who is a friend of the house, someone who we know very well, who seems not to be doing greatly so far. Shakabula FC, and I've advised that maybe he should rename his team to something that is much more scary,
We went
something that
to
is going
Santorini last year. Do not
Yes, we wanted to go actually, but the points that we gathered could not even get us a ticket from Lagos to Ibadan by train. Talk less of leaving the country to
okay.
start again.
So this season is Shakabula. We are going. He's going all guns blazing this season. Let's see. Let's see what happens at the end of the season. You never can tell. I said earlier that this season is a season for um, a newbie or an underdog. I still hold that strong. Back to you, Larry.
Yes, yes, of course. I completely agree with you. I think that wraps it up for me for H2H League Review. I would like to yield the mic at this point to you and also Bawajide to take us through how we expect Game Week 4 to shape up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lanre. It's always very, very lovely to hear from you. I was hoping some of the other fantastic managers would join us as well. I would rather just throw the jabs, hit the point line. So I would yield now to Babajide to just take us through what to expect. So we have some interesting fixtures, some players that could be differentials, and I am sure that with Babajide's insights, I'm sure we would learn one or two things. So, Babachide, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Maiwa. I think Larry has done a very brilliant job to set the pedestal into talking about what to expect. And like I would always like to tell people, right? Of course, FPL managers, the season is a 38 game week season, and we have just started. As a matter of fact, we just finished only 1 month out of the 10 months of the FPL season, which is the month of August. The month of September, interestingly, has an outlook of the international break. So, which means the plan is somewhat has to be a little bit different, and you have to now think um, without being able to hold yourself back. You'd have to now consider the long-term planning more or less, because when it comes to international break, you have things relating to injuries and players moving. It's even possible. The funny part of it is that the transfer window is still very much active, right? And the transfer window will only be ending tomorrow. So whatever transfer you want to make, we want to try as much as possible to advise you to keep your fingers crossed and see what happens in the last minute of the transfer windows. You can imagine having to bring a particular asset into your team only for you to get to hear that the so-called Saudi deal comes into play, and the person's head, the particular player's head, is stunned, and then he has to leave, which means you would more or less have no choice than to transfer the person out for a hit. So what we like to say is, of course, we have already covered 3 game week in the season. So now you know better. It's important that beyond what statistics says, beyond what you've been able to even see in watching football, all of this would assist you in able to put one or two justifications together and knowing much better. All the managers in the world came into the season without having an idea of what individual assets was capable of. But this time around, we know better, because now we have seen more games and now you can make much better decisions. So Wonderland of Excellence shouldn't be too comfortable at his position, because now some of us are coming right at his heel and we are coming to take the glory that rightfully belongs to us. Uh, the other part is, I think Larry more or less mentioned this earlier on, and the so-called premium assets are not giving the required output. You can imagine when you begin to place about 12 point something million for an asset like Salah, and for this season so far, he has not returned a double-digit figure. Imagine that you have put something close to 9 points, if I'm not mistaken, 9 million for an asset like Rashford, and he has not even hit any double-digit season. So how do you justify things like that? And it's not just limited to only those two assets alone. You have quite a lot of managers. You bought Alan for 14 million, right? And last game week, he was only able to return just 4 points. What that is pointing at is why I'm not castigating all of those assets. I'm only trying to say that you may not, you don't want to glue yourself to the point whereby you are not looking at other means, other assets, just because you have premium assets filling up your team. You have to be very flexible, and then you have to be able to have that mindset of downgrading where and when necessary. And another thing to also point out is there are quite a lot of assets this time around that we never thought, we weren't so sure of what we would get from them come at this point of the season, but we now know better from them, and we have just listed maybe a few of them here. The Madisons of this world, the Sterling. Madison for me has been very instrumental to what all the good things that Tottenham has been able to do under the tutelage of Ange Postecoglou. He's on set plays, he's on corner kicks, free kicks. He's playing right beside the center forward in person of, for now, Richarlison. He's playing in between what do you call it, Son and Kulusevski. So he's very much involved in every good thing that they do right now. And of course, there is Sterling, who seemed to have found a new lease of life under the management of Pochettino, I don't know where that zeal is coming from. I saw it. I saw those signs even from the very first game of Chelsea against Liverpool. It was very brilliant, and it's like he's trying to make a different statement entirely. He's trying to bring himself back to life, and he's trying to make himself a different force to reckon with. And then, of course, there's Bowen as well. And this is also very much important to point out. West Ham have been very brilliant this season. They went to Brighton the last time out, and against all expectations, because prior to that particular match, Brighton had not lost any match against West Ham in the previous 6 matches. But West Ham, out of nowhere, picked that all-important result, the maximum points. Antonio was on the score sheet. Bowen was also on the score sheet. And that also followed that same trend of Bowen playing in the very first match. I think that was against Crystal Palace when he got that free kick. Was it a free kick? No, I think it was a very wonderful volley just before the end of the match. So Bowen has also been on form. And there's Bruno as well. Bruno, you can't underestimate whatever it is that he's capable of. Is the that cog that holds the middle part of Manchester United together. And even though Man U has been struggling for some time, but Bruno, for some for very obvious reasons, he has been able to hold his own together. He has an accumulated 13 points for now during this season. He's on penalty kicks. Sometimes he's on free kicks. He plays all the through balls that for some reasons Man United have not been able to make the most of. And I think when you even look at what the FPL statistics is saying right now, amongst all the top performing midfielders right now, Bruno has the highest expected goal involvement. I think he's currently standing at 3.2. And the person that is following that, if I'm not mistaken, would be either Bowen or Sterling. So Bruno is up there as well. And I think maybe to add to this list as well, you want to look, especially when you consider their forthcoming fixture trend. And I'm going to quickly round up very soon. When you look at their fixture trend, you don't want to take your eyes away from Foden of Manchester City as well. They have very interesting set of fixtures coming up. And of course, with the absence of KDB, he has to play behind Haaland and Julian Alvarez, so he has quite a lot of roles to play and a lot of very big miss to get points from all those kind of platforms. And you also have Mbeumo as well of Brentford. So these are the assets that you want to keep you want to keep abreast of, and then get to see how well they perform. But like we have stated there, you only have a room for 5 midfielders. So I wish you the best of luck in trying to get it right with your choice. In terms of the captaincy best, for me, I think Alan is still the very best. From the last time that he played against Sheffield till now, he has won 2 awards already. He won the the PFA award, and tonight he won the UEFA Men's Player of the Year award. So he's pumped up. You can expect to see a very inspired Alan going up against the very defensively shaken Fulham. So personally, I'll still be placing my bet on him as my own captaincy option. And like I started by saying, the international break is forthcoming. Have that at the back of your mind in your planning. And here we have the set of fixtures for you to target. Sheffield versus Everton. I want to see, I think that will be more or less like a high goal scoring encounter, because both teams have not really proven their mettle at the back line. Burnley versus Spurs, a newly promoted side versus a newly managed Tottenham Hotspur in the hands of Andy Postecoglou. I think Spurs will come up on top in that particular fixture. And then you have another home fixture for Chelsea when they go up against Nottingham Forest. They did very brilliantly in the last match against Luton Town, getting a 3-goal win in that, with Sterling getting a brace and Nicholas Jackson getting his very first goal in the blue colours of the Chelsea. And of course, they had another very good run against Wimbledon in Carabao Cup just yesterday. They came from a goal down to win 2 goals to 1. Sterling was completely benched from that. So I think he will be very much relaxed and rested for this particular fixture. But you can't completely rule out the effectiveness of Nottingham Forest, especially in the attacking force. They have Bernard Johnson, you have the Awonis of this world. They also have Morgan Gibbs White, who is very instrumental in every good thing that Nottingham Forest do right now. And of course, we've spoken about Manchester City versus Fulham already. And then there is Brighton versus Newcastle. And this is a tie that I'm also expecting to be very explosive and to give us very big excitement as neutrals. And of course, there is Liverpool versus Aston Villa. It has to be said, this is maybe a fixture for Salah to really rejuvenate himself. Salah against Aston Villa, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the past 3 matches, he has gotten 2 goals and 2 assists with a cumulative point of 26 points, if I'm not mistaken. So on the average, you expect to get maybe about a double digit or somewhat close to that from Salah in this encounter. And that's assuming that, just like we have been hearing in the public domain, that it doesn't eventually go to Saudi Arabia. But of course, you have other assets. Darwin came on against Newcastle and it was excellent. It was very brilliant in the last 15 minutes that I played. But the question is, do you expect Klopp to even continue to retain his faith in Darwin, or is it Jota that will play? Is it Luis Diaz, or is it how do you call it, Cody Gakpo? So these are the kind of fixtures that you have for yourself to look at, that we think might most likely give you the return that you expect. So that will be where I will stop the analysis on the forthcoming game week preview. And I hope that our viewers and our listeners have been able to pick 1 or 2 points, 1 or 2 things that they can at least take forward to make their own decisions from that. So over to you now, Mayo. Thank you so much.
Brilliant from Babajide. So we've come very close to the end of our Game Week 3 review and our preview of Game Week 4. But before we go, I just want to ask all of us a quick question. So, and I'll start from Babajide, who just left the stage. Babajide, if you want to take a guess for how many points you would have this game week, what would be your target?
72 points. And I've been very
72 points.
specific with it, especially because I think most likely I'll be activating my wildcard 1.
Wow, brilliant. Larry, what's your target for the week?
65 points. I think for me personally, it's a rule of thumb for me that for me to eat, I think top 100 at the end of the season, I have to average 65 minimum per week. So I think I want to stay within that for now. I like to be humble.
And Grant, how many points do you think you'll be coming in with this week?
Well, to be modest and with all sense of humility, I think I should be coming up with 70 to 75 points. And that is simply because I am looking at my Tottenham returning points. My Manchester United asset should also return points. And so just that.
Okay. And Grant, if you want to pick one match from the fixtures to watch and give me what you think the scoreline would be, that would be great as well.
Okay, I think I'll be picking the Liverpool Aston Villa game. I'm seeing a very high scoring match in, let's say, a 3-3 scoreline or a 3-2 scoreline from just Liverpool Aston Villa match.
Fantastic. Larry, one fixture, what do you think the scoreline would be?
Burnley Spurs, I see a 4-1 in favor of Spurs.
Okay. Brilliant. And Babajide?
I think I'll go for Man City. I'm expecting it to end 4-1 in favor of Man City, with Haaland getting a brace and Julian Alvarez getting one for himself too.
You suddenly become a City fan.
That's what happened when your team is. I'll put the comments offline.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm staying away from the predictions this week. My absence last week also meant that, I had to just come here today, learn from all of your creative ideas and your wealth of experience in FPL. For everyone that is just joining or listening to us for the very first time, or if you're returning, this is what we do. We love the game. We love to play. We do not have the current coaching licenses, but we hope that with our prowess in FPL, one day, just maybe one day, one of us will be summoned to coach an EPL team. But until that happens, this is yours truly, Maya, signing out for FPL Rodeo. Thanks to every single manager that's come on to speak today, and see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Patience.
Do not forget to like and subscribe.